Hello everyone, welcome to Fableheim Age of Wonders 4. Patch notes. The Sprite update is currently in open beta on PC on Steam, so if you own it there, you can check it out if you would like. This is the free update releasing alongside Secrets of the Archmages on June 16th, and it contains a few significant overhauls. One for the Reavers and one for the Empire Tree. So I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that. Keep in mind this is a beta patch note, so there will be some changes before release, but most of, the profound significant changes are pretty much just locked in. It'll be like numerical tweaks, bug fixes, and maybe something moved around here and or there. So without further ado, let us hop in. System update. The Empire Development Tree. The Empire Development Tree has been updated and significantly expanded. Over time, the way that the tree was originally designed no longer matches the way that the game has evolved. Empire skills now represent a broader interpretation of their affinities and provide a better expression of your faction. Added new mutually exclusive skills for almost every skill in the Empire Development Tree. All rights have been changed from once per game to repeating. When a right is used, its affinity requirement increases. Really, the affinity requirements increase and the accumulated affinity is reset. Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. Because some of the repeatable rights are very, very strong, and there is a way to get plus 50 affinity for your max affinity. So if you're like full Materium, it would only take a couple of turns before you could full heal your entire faction again, which would be a little crunk. Updated or removed all pre-existing Empire development skills and rights. Improved readability of the tree. Empire rights have a new shape to better differentiate between them and regular skills. Mutually exclusive skills now show a lock icon when expecting them, and skill tooltips list mutual exclusive skills. With the exception of skills from the general branch, any owned Empire skill in your current games will be removed, and the Imperium costs refunded. Oh, so if you load an old save file into the new patch, which is usually not recommended, but it looks like they have created contingencies in case you do. Associated updates. Updated all city structures with appropriate structure tags. Added the guild slot system, which allows multiple guilds to be built in a city. I believe right now the only way to do that is at the apex of the Materium tree, but they might expand that system in the future, which would be cool. Or, we could always mod it so we can have infinite guild slots. Society trait, Merciless Slavers, now gives the new Turncoat Master's Empire skill. Now gives a 25% discount on recruiting captured and dominated units. Okay. Society trait, Keepers of Knowledge, now gives Seeing Stones instead of All Seeing. So this is the generic one. This was the shadow one. Okay. Unless maybe this is a new talent, that could be true. System update teams. Teams have always been about providing an easy way to work together towards a victory without having to go through the various diplomatic requirements. However, this also meant all diplomacy between teams would be turned off. With these two new settings, you can still team up at the game start without losing out on diplomatic intricacies. I did dislike this. We did one team campaign, I think. I can't remember who it was now. But the moment you met someone, you were instantly at war with them. Even if you were like a single player facing off against other teams. So I wonder now if this sounds like we'll be able to do actual diplomacy. The team setting is now a drop-down instead of a checkbox. Added two new settings to teams in advanced settings. Alliance. Team members start in a full alliance with each other. Once the game begins, rulers are free to leave the alliance if they wish. And Overlord. One player in each team is assigned to the Overlord, while the other players are his vassals. The Overlord has control over diplomacy, and vassals may not leave the team without their permission. Which player is the Overlord can be set in the player slot settings. I wonder how well the AI utilizes these new features. Because I can think of some fun settings where we have like an alliance, and it could be really funny to see the AI fall out with each other. Kind of like just simply spitballing here, recreating World of Warcraft. We have the Alliance and the Horde, and we'll be playing as like a third party maybe, and we can see if we can tear them apart. That'd be really funny. Or Overlord. There's so many options for Overlord, but this feels like it's closer to the original team system. New content, Wizard King customization. Secrets of the Archmages is all about the Wizard Kings, and there is no better way to acknowledge this than with new drip. True. New Wizard King customization items are available in the base game as well as owners of a variety of DLCs. The customization items for Wizard Kings. The helmet has the Warlord for male and female, and the Painbringer for female. Come on, let us wear the Painbringer hat. Outfits. Phantasm Warrior for male, Pyro Templar for male, Warlord for male, Pyromancer for female, ooh. Constrictor for female, also ooh. Geomancer, and Painbringer, wow. You could already use a mod on most of these, but still, wow. Capes, Pyro Templar, and Warlord. Very nice. Pantheon. My friends, there is hope for us yet. Increased the save data size for Pantheons. Pantheons can now contain up to 300 rulers. Nice. I was actually beginning to scheme up a way of like ritually sacrificing some of our characters. Because it was 50, of course, and we're at like 34, 35. So it would not be long before I would have to decide who gets kicked out. Of course, I'd probably just start kicking Blints, honestly, but now Blint time is real. Added Pantheon content. 4 Evermore items. For the item Forge skin, Merlin's Tome. For the item Forge Infusion, Magic Circle. For the back item, the Astral Magic Circle. And for the back item, the Leviathan. Oh, the banner. Banner. What is a Leviathan? I guess we'll find out. I mean, I know what a Leviathan is, the giant sea creature. Abadoth items. New item Forge skin, Ysariel's Sword. The item Forge skin, Carissa's Inferno Orb. Back item, the Chaos Magic Circle, the exotic mount, the Inferno Hound mount. This is where this comes from. And the banner icon, the Beast. The Beast hungers. 4 Duatha items. The Hambinger's Bird. We have... Wait, have we seen this? I think it goes on his head, right? I can't remember if they've seen Hamburger in the dev stream. Back item, Arachna's Spider Legs. Ooh. Back item, Nature Magic Circle. And the banner icon, the Mistwalker. Oh, we saw it in the dev diary. That's why I'm thinking of this. Yeah, it was an untextured bird that's on his head. I'm sure it has textures now. Wizard King items. Cat ears and tail. Blint, get over here. Wait, this is in the beta, isn't it? Oh, I am going to do terrible things to him. And Arachna's crown. Yes, one of the main reasons I'm doing this, I forgot to mention earlier, the next series will be the continuation of the Blint Saga. We're going into the Eldritch Realm story realms, and it will be on this open beta. I will not be doing another Reaver playthrough. We just did one. We just finished one. But we will be, of course, inspecting the new Empire tree, and I guess we're going to take a look at some cat ears and tails. Features. Culture update, Reavers. The Reavers were our first DLC culture, closing out 2023 with the Empires and Ashes expansion. Wow, time has flown. Since then, we have introduced the concept of subcultures and generally improved our culture designs. The Reavers world map gameplay has had a problem of being too restricted and narrow, impacting diplomatic gameplay much more harshly than intended. With the Reaver rework, we are making them much more two-dimensional and bringing them up to snuff. So the Imperial Reavers are very similar to the current iteration of Reavers, but they have lost some stuff, so we'll see. Affinities, Chaos plus Materium. Theme, Conquest feeds the Empire's expansion and prosperity, and combat focus, overwhelming ranged firepower using focused aggression to bring targets down. This is pretty much unchanged. The Imperial Reavers build tall, without regard for allies or enemies alike. Conquest grants them the resources needed to empower their mighty Imperial cities beyond what others are capable of. An Imperial Reaver's throne city will be a jewel worth conquering indeed. World map gameplay War Spoils. Gain War Spoils through defeating units belonging to free cities, dwellings, or empires, which scales with tier, conquering cities, or pillaging provinces. Ooh, a Giga Pillage build could be funny. Use War Spoils to construct unique city structures that empower cities in unique ways. Okay, so it is unique city structures. Convert subdued units after combat, or draft the cannon units. Okay. So there are unique city structures. The city structures. Mana Forge, which is the same as previous, replaces the Shrine, plus 10 mana, plus 5 city production. Structure production. The Lodestone Foundry, same as previous, replaces Mana Obelisk, 15 mana, 10 structure production. The Imperial Academy replaces the Extraction Nexus, which is a unique tier 3 city structure. Units garrisoned in the city gain 15 XP per turn, plus 20 knowledge. Interesting. So assuming this stacks with stone walls, which it should, that is plus 30 XP per turn. For doing nothing. This also doesn't include any of the new Empire Tree stuff. I know there's one that grants experience. I think it's in Nature. It doesn't count like a hero. The Tome of the Warborn. Warforged. Warforged? Yeah, it could be really good. The Imperial War Factory, which replaces the Reaver Manufactorum, is an SPI. Counts as a quarry, plus 10 structure production, plus 10 draft per adjacent quarry, forester, or mine. Makes sense. The Spoils of War Repeatable, a Tier X city structure. Meka. Costs 100 war spoils to build, 250 production, plus 10 stability, plus 20 food, plus 10 structure production. I see. Huh. Okay. How many war spoils did Ikit have? Didn't he have like over 3,000 in like the mid-game? Okay. Research skills. Engraving of focus. This grants the non-cultural units focused aggression. Designate target combat spell. Target enemy unit suffers 2 times marks and 90% chance to suffer 1 immobilized. This is different, I believe. Suppressing barrage. Combat spell. Enemy units in the target 1 hex radius AoE suffer 10 physical damage and are knocked out of defense mode. This is also different. This used to have a very small chance of immobilizing. And this used to be like distracted, right? I think. And marked. Combat gameplay, focused aggression. Ranged or melee attacks, ranged or magic attacks deal plus 10% damage per stack of marked on the target. And melee attacks gain 90% chance of a 15 mark, 120% for single. Is this ranged or magic ranged attacks? Because just these magic attacks, this would also affect magic fighters. Unit lineup. The lineup remains the same, although the Overseer's base attack and the Magelock Cannon had their damage buffed. Okay. So we still have the Observer Scout, which, by the way, cannot retreat. It has a trait that it explodes if it's alone. The Harrier Skirmisher, which is the same, but it has the new passive Slip Away. Okay. That might actually keep it alive. The Mercenary seems unchanged. It's a polearm. The Overseer support, now optionally mounted. Increased damage from 10 to 14, and removed chance to inflict blind. Okay. The Magelock is, of course, still ranged. The Dragoon is still a skirmisher and mounted. I have less gripes against the Dragoon now that they fixed the Master Skirmisher, which I'm sure happened forever ago and I just didn't know about it. But still... And then the Magelock Cannon had its damage increased from 30 to 40. Okay. The thing with the Magelock Cannon, it's cool, but you have to be very careful with it. It only has a full action attack, so increasing its damage is good. And now, onto the new stuff. The Federate Reavers. Affinity, Order Materium. Their theme is alliances and vassals are power, diversity is strength, combat focus, fielding a balanced roster of vassal units alongside their own. The Federate Reavers grow wide across the map, though not through direct control, but rather through a strong network of vassals they establish or create through conquests. They command many vassals, gaining increased benefits from completing bounties and defeating infestations. World map gameplay favors. Gain favors through defeating marauders, which scales the tier, destroying infestations, or maintaining vassals at max allegiance. So their unique resource does have something you can, like, get an income of, unlike the war spoils. Which I guess makes sense. Use favors to improve the allegiance of vassals, nullify the grievances of other empires using the declaration of debt. Oh. I did not know that. Trade with free cities, rush war coordinations with vassals, and rally the lieges. City structures, they also have the Mana Forge, which seems unchanged, the Lodestone Foundry, which seems unchanged, the Extraction Nexus, which used to be the Reaver's unique thing. Unique tier 3 city structure, 5 gold per SBI, 5 mana per SBI. Okay, this is new. Wasn't it gold per magical material? I remember being so bummed in my Ikki campaign, because I had, like, none. But per SBI is so much better, because you can control this way better. Speaking of SBIs, the Reaver Manufactorum is a mine that grants plus 10 gold and plus 5 gold per vassal of the owner empire. Now, if your goal in life is to vassal swarm, it is not impossible to get this to like plus 50 gold. Plus 60 gold in each of your cities? My oh my. Research skills. The Banner of the Federation is the unit enchantment, which grants the Federate Levy. Units that do not have Federate Levy gain Federate Soldier. Yes, they are recruited. Providing his alliance the combat spell. The friendly target heals for 10. If they have Federate Soldier, they heal for plus 5 more for all friendly units with Federate Levy in battle. and vice versa for the Federate Levy. They heal for more with all Federate soldiers in battle. This effect then jumps to the target in range 3 up to 2 times. I think this is going to be a very strong spell. Because remember, it says in battle. So once you're roaming around with 3 stacks, if you balance this well, you could heal 3 units for what? 15, 30, like 45, 55? That could be disgusting. Sundering Barrage combat spell. Enemy units in a target 1 hex radius AoE suffer 15 physical damage and 90% chance to suffer Sundered Defense. Okay. Combat gameplay. The Federate Levy, Federate Soldier. Units from this player's culture, and with the Banner of the Federation, gain a Federate Soldier. This unit gains plus 10 max HP for each Federal Levy in its army, grants plus 2 XP per turn to Federal Levy units in their army each strategic turn, and gain plus 10% accuracy and damage against units adjacent to Federal Levy units. Adjacent. Adjacent. Wasn't it when they were attacked by it or something? Maybe they changed it. Units recruited from vassals through Rally of Lieges and friendly units belonging to vassals gain Federal Levy. Support abilities heal Federate soldier units for 20% temporary hit points. Isn't that true the other way around? The soldiers heal the levies more? This unit gains plus 10 max HP for each Federal soldier in their army, grants plus 2 XP per turn to Federal soldier units in their army each strategic turn, and each adjacent enemy suffer engaged by levies. Attacks made by Federal soldiers gain 20% accuracy and 20% damage against this unit. Huh. If it is adjacency now, that kind of changes how you want to play. I thought it was attacked, but this, I mean, engaged by levies makes more sense with adjacency. So you kind of want to get your front line from vassals and then get your Boonga Boonga from your cultural units. Okay. Sure. Unit lineup. The lineup is half the same, but all units will receive an art pass to visually represent them as less evil aesthetic variants of the Reavers. They took out their spikes. They lost their spikes. We still have the Observer Scout, which still dies when it's alone. The Tier 1 Harrier has been changed into a Skirmisher, which is a optionally mounted unit. I can advance. Melee Strike, base attack. The Shoot Magelock Pistol, which is an active ability. Single action missile, range 4, 1 turn cooldown, deals 20 physical damage and has piercing, so it goes through 50% of physical damage. Coordination passive. This unit gains a 20% critical hit chance against engaged targets. Cool, that makes sense. And they are a versatile skirmisher, so when they hit something physically, their next range attack will deal 20% more damage, and vice versa. They have the Mercenary Polearm. Drive back has swap fire damage for spirit damage. Their tier 2 support is the Sapper, which is optionally mounted. Sundering Blast. Single action magic range 4 deals 14 spirit damage with a 90% chance to inflict sundered armor. Demolition Blast, active ability, single action magic range 3, 2 turn cooldown, deals 30 damage to target obstacle. Units inside of obstacle suffer 2 times under defense and has Demolisher. Does this also have a little AoE with it? Thought I saw that in the dev stream. Patch Up, active ability, this is still the same heal. It's 45, which they couldn't remember if that was the number, but it's always been pretty high. They retained the Tier 2 Magelock. I think this is like the most iconic unit of the Reavers. The Breacher, a magic fighter, optional mounted. Really? Huh. Is the Harrier optional mounted? I read it out, but I've already forgotten. It is not? Question mark? Huh. Okay. Well, that's fine. Where were we? Yes, optional mounted breacher. Magic strike, base attack. Repeating action magic, melee range, deals 15 physical damage. As a magic attack. Okay. Breaching shot, single action magic, 2 hex cone, 2 turn cooldown. 2 turn cooldown. Blah, blah. Deals 20 spirit damage with a base 90% chance to apply Sundered Defense and Sundered Resistance. Has breaching, so it ignores 50% of resistance. And the reinforced passive, so it gains 3 defense against range attacks. I think that's what that means. And they also have the Magelock Cannon. Okay. You know, they had their canon removed from the Siege project. New feature, Narrative Content Filter. This setting, added in the Realm Content tab of the Advanced Realm Creation settings, provides additional control over what kind of narrative content can appear during a game. Added a new section in the Realm Content for narrative content. The following types of content can be controlled. The Toll of Seasons, happening where Fey invaders into your realm and attack your cities. Cosmic happenings, a large collection of global happenings that affect the whole world with economic, terraforming, and combat effects. Intrigue happenings, a small collection of happenings based around AI-controlled lords being replaced by other characters. The Wandering Merchants, a collection of events that spawn shops for players to buy things during gameplay. And the Lost Souls, a collection of quests that can be triggered by moving an army onto a Wandering Lost Soul unit. So I guess if you turn on high cosmic happenings, but turn off the Toll of Seasons, you can more focus on just the cosmic happenings. You still get intrigue happenings though, so you turn both those off and then you just have the cosmic stuff. The intrigue happenings are funny. I don't know. I've done a couple of them. Because I spend so long customizing our characters, they tend to annoy me more than not. Although it is always very funny when you, like, Blint gets replaced by somebody. That is always a good time. I think I'm going to turn off the Lost Souls, even though I've done, like, maybe 4 Lost Soul quests. They're just annoying. They're just roaming around, making me think somebody's walking nearby me. We'll see. Associated updates. Removed the following realm traits, Toll of Seasons and the Unfolding Mysteries. Removed the disabled option from the happening intensity setting. This will now be handled by the narrative content filters. So you used to be able to turn the realm traits. You used to be able to slot in Toll of Seasons or Unfolding Mysteries to guarantee an intrigue happening or a Toll of Seasons. Interesting. So now, in the narrative content, if you have Toll of Seasons checked, will it always happen? I'm assuming intrigue happenings? I'll have to think about that. Art. Adjusted the bookcases and statues in the Archon Observatory Ancient Wonder to fade when they block visions of your units. Oh, that's a good change. Removed zone obstacle that was in front of the deployment zone of the Blossom Orchard tactical combat map. Reduced the amount of bats particles in the Sunless Lands theme to improve performance. Big optimization pass on textures used in the environment. Great. Added 2 dreadlock hairstyles for female humans. Okay. Combat. Updated the undo movement logic. Damaging obstacles now blocks undoing movement. This also fixes Firewake incorrectly blocking undo movement. Oh yeah, I remember this happening. That was so annoying. Debuff Subdued can now be dispelled. Buff Haste no longer grants very fast movement. Instead, it increases combat speed by 1, which I think is the same thing, right? Debuff Speed no longer grants slow movement. Instead, it reduces combat speed by 1. Debuff Life Seed, reduced temporary hit point healed from 20 to 15, but can now stack up to 3 times. Oh. Life Seed feels so rare. I mean, I know that the Cult of Death has it. No? Yes. And one of the heroes can get it. The Ritualist? Anyway, it feels pretty rare, but now it's probably pretty good. Passive Watchful, remain to Vigilant. An obstacle Lucky Sunflower no longer grants Lucky, instead it grants Fortune. Okay. It already... Was Lucky a guaranteed crit? So it's being nerfed, I guess. And Watchful is a new form trait with the Owlkin. So that's probably why they rename it. Cultures! Federal Culture. Unit Knight. New ability. Knight's Challenge. So this is the tier 4 one. Range 6. Debuff once per battle. Challenge a target unit. Target unit takes 50% increased damage from the Knight and deals 50% reduced damage to the Knight. Ooh. Okay. The City Structure. Academy of Potential. Now affects Magic Fighter units. Great. Don't know what that is. The Bastion. Defensive Sleep is no longer base. Huh. The Charger. From the Primal Culture, Cleaving Charge is no longer base. Oh, they're no longer base actions, I see. They're special actions. Oathbound, the unit Warbound. Infernal Blaze is now magic, not melee. For the Avenger, Radiant Slash is now magic, not melee. And for the Peacebringer, the Arrow of Harmony is now missile, not magic. Okay, these are all the different tier 3 units for Oathbound. For the Nomads, increased the resources income of Wonder Essences except for Knowledge, Ancient Manuscript, and Draft Seed Pods. Okay, so Mana Store. Bronze goes from 1 to 2. This is for the, This is just for the not aggressive one, right? Wonder Essences. I think so. The mana stores, bronze 1 to 2, silver 2 to 4, and gold 3 to 6. They literally doubled it. Food stockpiles, farms. Bronze, food from 3 to 5. Silver, 6 food to 10, and gold 9 food to 15. Rare materials, quarry. Bronze, from 2 production to 3. Silver 4 production to 6, and gold 6 production to 9. And the treasure trove mine, 1. Bronze is 1 gold to 2. Silver is 2 gold to 4, and gold is 3 gold to 6. I feel like, didn't they nerf the Wonder Essences before the release of the Nomads? Or like after them immediately or something? I feel like we've been here before. And the Conquerors can't get Wonder Essences anyway, so I can't remember the name of the Scavenger. Yeah, Scavenger for Tradition. Events. Gaining a new tome via scripts now delays unlocking the next tome by 4 cycles. Shucks. The cheese is over! No! That's fine. That's fine. You could use... We did this in a couple of campaigns. So basically you could get a tome from some sort of event, and then you'd immediately go to the next step, as that was so strong. But this is still pretty good. 4 research cycles is... Oh. I mean, that's just researching 4 things. Is it 5 normally? Or is this literally just, hey, you got a new tome. Congratulations. You would still be bumped up, though. Maybe this is like the same. Math. Factions. Added the new exotic mount trains. Bone, Fire, and Frost Wyvern mounts for base game owners. Gold and Obsidian Wyvern mounts for Dragon Dawn owners. And the Infernal Juggernaut mount for Primal Fury owners. The Big Gold Elephant. Added new magic starting items, the Grimoires. These magic weapons grant heroes access to the Spike and Rebuke abilities from the Eldritch Sovereign weapons. These are... I feel like it's hard to say why you would want a Grimoire. They do a lot less damage, but they have insane range. In fact, Tom was even thinking, and Mr. Bird was debating buffing the Grimoire damage because of how low it is, but playtesters told him not to, because 8 range is insane. Like, whenever you have someone with a Grimoire, the person using it is going to be so unbelievably safe. So, on the dev stream, they were talking about how it's good for, like, Ritualists and Warlocks, and not really Elementalists who are trying to do giga damage. Which is what they are, of course. The form trait Nightmare Mounts now grants Lava Walk. Okay. And the society trait Chosen Destroyers now grants Total War. So they can declare war with no justification. Which was taken away from the Imperial Reavers, which seems questionable. Society traits, Scions of Evil, now grants Total War. Now can also grant a certain Pulum unit, and can now be used by the Reaver and the Oathsworn cultures. Nice. I guess the logic was Total War comes from these society traits. So they didn't want it to be like a unique... Well, it wasn't unique. The Oathbound also have Total War. Wait, if they didn't take it away from the Oathbound, why would they take it away from the Imperial Reavers? The Strife. Maybe we should give it back. Where were we? I got so distracted. We're here. Updated Larissa Mirabilis to Federated Reaver. Okay, this is the lady from the, Empires and Ashes quests. Story Realms. AI players should have less issue with picking up the Vision of Promise and Vision of Ruin quests, as well as completing them. Okay. I have never given any of my AIs the Vision quests. I think I gave one of them just to see what they would do. But this is my fear, that they would not complete them. And I'm pretty sure they did not in the one that I tried. I can't remember. Free City. Unit recruitment to free cities will now get cancelled when the city is occupied. Okay, that makes sense. Heroes. Ambitions. The major ambition Shepherd now includes Fey units for incompletion requirements. And passive Druid now also affects Fey units. I believe the requirement is to evolve units. That's for the minor. And then the major is to have a full army of Fey units. Or excuse me, like animals or plants or elementals or something. So because your leader can't become, your hero cannot become a Fey, that's not possible to conclude it. But if you complete the Druid, you also buff Fey units, which is interesting. Vampires. Added a 3-turn cooldown to the Devour action. This cooldown is unique per hero. Aww, this is when you eat somebody and get a buttload of experience. And you would just wait until you got the Shadow trait that gives you like 200% increased experience, and you would just eat a whole bunch of people to power level straight to 20. Rip. Now it's no longer possible. Active ability, Mesmerizing Bite. Domination now lasts until the end of combat, as intended. The passive Rose Knight Guardian no longer works in water or lava combat. And the active ability Grave March can now be used by multiple players in the same combat at once. Fair and balanced. That's why they added a cooldown to this. The Dragon Lord. Super Mosquito the Grotender Mass Rejuvenate. Increased cooldown. Increased cooldown increase from 1 turn to 3. Okay. Signature skill Elder of Shadow no longer incorrectly grants Undying. And the signature skill Elder of Nature no longer triggers from auto spells. Oh, they did talk about this. Shucks. Ritualist. The active ability Rite of Restoration no longer has a support ability tag. Change from once per combat to a 3-turn cooldown. Increase healing from 10 temp HP to 20. Oh, this is a significant nerf. Crap, this is for all the rights. So the rights are at the very bottom of the tree for the Ritualist. You can only pick one. And part of what made them so unbelievably strong was because they had the support tag. So they would give everybody on the battle anything that affected support. Regeneration, strength, and status resistance. Something else. Basically, yeah. So now that they're no longer support tag abilities, they're just going to do what they do. I suppose to compensate, they made it from once per combat to a 3-turn cooldown. But endgame combats, once you get to the end of the Ritualist tree, you're trying not to last that long. Like, some battles just do, it happens. But usually, at least my strategy is to run people over. You know? So the Rite of Vigil is the same thing, no longer has support tag. This gives defense. I think this got even worse, honestly. Rite of Fury, same thing, no longer has a support tag. This gives Hastened. Probably just even more reason to have Rite of Fury. Active ability Reincarnate. Remove the mana cost for recruiting reincarnated units. Change from a full action to a single action. Okay. This is, it will raise somebody who's dead as a random animal of the same tier. This could be really good if you're doing an animal build now. Just literally an undying army. As long as you can keep this going. Battle Sync. The active ability Battlefield Restoration no longer has a support tag. And the active ability Warding Bond now has the support tag. Oh. So for the Defender, though, we might now have support tag. Not really relevant for the Defender, though. But for the Battle Saint. So Battlefield Restoration was at the bottom of their tree as well. And it having the support tag was a big deal as well. I'd have to look at the Battle Saint for this. Warding Bond and support tag is really good for the Battle Saint because it can trigger all of their... Although, normally when you go Warding Bond, you're doing Paladin, right? So you have less of the support bones. Warlock. The active ability Hex Pact now has the magic weapon tag. Initial cast of the ability can be modified. Okay. The ability Curse now has the magic weapon tag and can now be modified. Okay. I think that's good. Does the Death Knight Curse have the magic weapon tag? Or not? This might be new, actually. They want to change the Spellblade a little bit. But they haven't done it because they couldn't figure out how to... They don't have enough support for magic weapon stuff. Like, they kind of want to mold the Spellblade more towards the new magic fighter, but the god tier weapons are not magic weapons. So, I don't know. We'll see. At least, you know, not a staff or whatever. Interface. You can now use teleporter pins using the controller while annexing new provinces. Okay, great. Spell upkeep per unit is now included in the spell tooltips in the research screen and the encyclopedia. The tome selection screen of faction creation now shows which of the tome skills will be unlocked at game start. Huzzah! This is a new feature, I think, because it was random before, wasn't it? But now it'll show, hey, there's a little lock next to it, and it'll be like, this is the tome you get at start. Or, you know, the spell. Set of primary weapons tooltip now shows that the item can be equipped by an Elder Vampire alongside champions and Wizard Kings. Great. In the advanced world setup, the Restore defaults button on controllers will now be blocked if the slot settings panel is open. Similarly, pressing the back button will close the panel instead of closing the whole advanced world setup. Okay. Settings for human player slots are now saved as well. The system will no longer allow players to place multiple siege projects that block each other, such as Construct Onagers and Construct Bombardo. Okay, that's good. New item forge weapons, the Grimoire. These magic weapons grant hero access to Spike and Rebuke from the Eldritch Sovereign, yes. And bone armor mounts are now tier 3 and give +4 blight protection. Not that you can make these in the item forge, but great. We do have some modding stuff. I am very unfamiliar with modding in any capacity. So if this is of interest to you, huzzah! Behold! Changes! I'm sure they're all great. Multiplayer. Added sanitization to custom realm names. Allow custom realm names to be shown in multiplayer lobbies. Fix an issue in multiplayer lobbies where combat advantage would reset if the host left the lobby and then returned. Out of sync. Fix an out of sync caused by adding a unit to the Rally of Legions while the Scroll of Astral Connection enchantment was active. Fix multiple City Defender property out of syncs occurring after combat and when triggered by a Spawn House Invasion stack. Fix an out of sync caused by routed units returning and not triggering hex markers. Fix an out of sync caused by defeating a free city that was not properly removing its properties from the owner player. Fix a version out of sync caused by infestations registering their domain properties during post-active instead of activate. And fix an out of sync caused by floating point calculation using too large an epsilon. It continues. You cut off the head of one out of sync, 5 more pop up. Good luck, devs. For the tomes. The Tome of Evocation. Unit enchantment Lightning Blades now affects all attacks. No longer reduces physical damage. Reduce lightning damage from +4 to +2. No longer applies to skirmishers. Ho, ho, ho. Ho, 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 ho. Okay. This is good. I like how they've changed this like 3 times now. So you technically aren't losing any damage, although you're gaining less of the lightning channel, which was usually good. No longer applies to skirmishers is fine. They usually fall under the ranged tree anyway. Okay. We'll have to play this out, see how we feel. Tome Amplification. Unit enchantment Amplifying Arrows has been renamed to Amplifying Imbuement. No longer reduces physical damage, now also applies to battle mages, magic fighters, and support units. And the unit enchantment Frenzying Focus moved from here to the Tome of Nature's Wrath? Huh. Frenzying Focus was insane. Tome of Nature's Wrath is not picked very often. Huh. Okay. Well, great. Amplifying Arrows got better. Excuse me, Amplifying Imbuement. This is a pretty big buff. Oh, Battle Mages. Oh, there's gonna be so much bouncing. It's fine, we'll handle it. Chaos, Tome of the Blood Rite. Unit enchantment Blood Drinking Blades now affects all attacks. No longer applies to skirmishers. I believe what this means, now affects all attacks, is it's not just base attacks. It's going to be any bonus skills as well, which could be really OP. I'm sure someone's going to find something about that. Unit enchantment Sanguine Focus now affects all attacks. Kind of the same thing here. Tome of Pyromancy. Unit enchantment Searing Blades now affects all attacks. No longer reduces physical damage, reduce fire damage from +4 to +2, and no longer applies to skirmishers. Unit enchantment Fiery Projectile has been renamed to Fiery Imbuement and now affects all attacks. I'm assuming this is because... Oh yeah, this already affected battle mages in their first pass through all this stuff. Tomb of Mayhem, the Gremlin now has Slippery and Swift again. Good old Gremlin. He had this initially because he was a skirmisher, and then they created the Magic Fighter, and they took it away from him, and now he has it again. Tomb of Revelry, the unit enchantment Blood Fray weapons now affects all weapons. Now also applies to ranged units and magic fighters. No shots. Wow. Tomb of Devastation, the unit Warbreed Power Cleave is no longer base. Unit enchantment Flame Burst weapons now applies to ranged units. What? Aha! I just did a build with a ranged unit though. This is actually insane. So can we stack this with Artificer weapons? I guess we're going to find out in a second. Tomb of Cleansing Flame, the Pyre Templar Pyre Cloak is now a magic attack. Great. Tomb of Calamity, unit enchantment Accursed Projectiles has been renamed to Accursed Imbuements and now affects all attacks. So does this mean... I think it already did Battle Mage stuff. Let's find out, shall we? The Tomb of Enchantment, unit enchantment Sundering Blades now affects all attacks. No longer applies to skirmishers. Unit enchantment Purging Arrow now affects all attacks. The Tomb of Rock, Obsidian Weapons now affects all attacks and now also applies to magic fighters. The Tomb of Winds from the Zephyr, or unit Zephyr Archer, Zephyr Shot is no longer base. Okay. Tomb of Sandstalkers, the unit enchantment Scorpion Venom Blades has been renamed to Scorpion Venom Weapons, now affects all attacks, now also applies to ranged skirmisher and magic fighter units. Wait, so we're skipping the... So we can stack it. Because I'm pretty sure the Tomb of Artificing already has their crit thing applied to ranged units. And all these now affects all attacks or like reduction of base means I think they're working on something mechanically. Like some of these seem like whatever, like obviously it affects all attacks. But I think this is leading up to something. Or just consolidating stuff in the background. It's one of the two things. Tomb of Geomancy, unit enchantment Resonant Blades has been renamed to Resonant Weapons. Now affects all attacks. New effect, applies additional damage based on current terrain type. No longer inflicts frozen and Arctic terrain and now inflicts slowed instead. Now applies to ranged units and magic fighters. They buffed this. Like, a lot. I mean, not freezing in Arctic terrain's kind of a nerf, but it's whatever. Of course, after I finish my playthrough with the Tomb of Geomancy. Tomb of Shades, the unit enchantment Shadow Blaze has been renamed to Shadow Weapons. It is reworked to no longer ignores 50% of its target's defense against targets that are blind. Flanking attacks deal +3 frost damage, and attacks on blind units always flank. Does this include if they are watchful now? Maybe. Now also applies to ranged skirmisher and magic fighter weapons, or magic fighter units. This is pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, obviously being able to ignore some defense was very powerful. But because they changed Living Shadows as well, Minor Transformation Living Shadows no longer has a chance to inflict blind to attackers within 2 hexes, now grants Fleeting, and when a unit drops below 60% health, it blinds adjacent enemies at 90% chance, and gives the unit Obscured for a turn. What is Fleeting again? I don't know, actually. But Obscured means that they are going to be really difficult to hit with range attacks. The unit Shade had Fatal Strike damage reduced from 25 physical to 20, but it also now has Piercing, so it will ignore 50% of... Is his resistance? Are you a magic fighter, Shade? But 50% of whatever it's going against it will ignore. Nature! All in all, did Materium really need to get stronger? Because it did. Okay. Nature. The Tome of Roots. The unit enchantment Blight Blades now affects all attacks. No longer reduces physical damage. Reduce blight damage from +4 to +2, and no longer applies to skirmishers. The unit enchantment Poison Arrow now affects all attacks. No longer reduces physical damage, and reduce blight damage from +2 to +1. Ugh. Okay. But it applies poison, right? Combat spell Healing Roots. New effect, create obscuring flora on the target hex. This should be more annoying than helpful sometimes, but... Tomb of Fertility. The world map spell Restore the Land now affects the provinces adjacent to the target province as well. That's very good. And increase casting cost from 30 mana / casting points to 45. But it will now affect multiple provinces. This gives forests, right? The unit Nymph, Revitalize, reduces the cooldown from 3 turns to 2. No longer removes all negative status effects, now only removes 3. 3 is still pretty substantial. Seduce, increase cooldown from 2 turns to 3. Increase the chance to inflict dominated from 60% to 90%. I love having my units mind control. Added new unit enchantment, Staves of Life. Applies to support units. Using a support or attack ability, heals 15 temporary hit points to a random friendly unit within 3 hexes of the caster. Nice. I might actually pick this up now. I don't remember the last time I actually picked up Tome of Fertility. I still don't remember. Moved combat spell Animate Flora from here to the Tome of Glades, which has also received a pretty big rework. The minor transformation Leaf Skin no longer gives +1 resistance. It now gives +10% accuracy, evasion, and crit chance when in forest provinces. So it has a bit of a combat aspect to it, as well as, or like the Tome of the Sandstalker. Unit Glade Runner increased the range of trackers marked from 5 to 6. Very nice. Unit Enchantment Aspect of the Root now needs an extra button pressed to confirm the ability. Okay. New effect, create obscuring flora on the unit's hex. Now places a flora obstacle on the unit's hex when used. Okay. Now applies to fighter, magic fighter, and shock. Yo, what the this used to be just for shield units, by the way. Huh. Move combat spell Animate Flora from Tome of Fertility to here. Huh. That's pretty good. It's actually so much better. Like, unbelievably better. Tome of Fey Mist. Unit Mistling now has Slippery and Swift again. He had the same issue of the Gremlin. Originally a Skirmisher, so had Slippery and Swift by default. Made to a magic fighter. Lost them. Now he has them again. As if this unit wasn't annoying enough. Tome of Cycles. The unit enchantment Blades of Decay now affects all attacks and no longer applies to Skirmisher. The unit enchantment Blooming Projectiles has been renamed to Blooming Imbuement and now affects all attacks. The combat enchantment Parting Gifts increase heal from +12 temporary hit points to +15. Reduce casting cost from there's no plus here. From 100 mana and 40 casting points to 85 mana and 35 casting points. Parting Gifts. This is when you hit somebody. Oh, this is a combat enchantment. Never mind. I don't think I've ever used this. I was confused with the spell from this tome, which is actually pretty good. Tome of Nature's Wrath. The world map spell Destructive Regrowth now also applies -2 blight protection for 2 turns. This is Destroy Province. Deal damage. World map spell. Maybe. The Horned God, a Shepherd of the Wild, now applies to Fae, but not to other Horned Gods. That's fair. The enchantment Frenzying Focus has been moved from the Tome of Amplification to here, renamed to Frenzying Imbuement, no longer increases range. Boo! Now applies to skirmishers and ranged units. Yay? Well, at least I got to use the range when it was a thing. Tome of Paradise. World map spell Enchanted Bloom no longer grants provinces within the domain with either grasslands, forests, fungus fields, or mushrooms. For mushroom forests, features +2 food, +2 production, +2 draft. Now grants provinces within the domain with either grasslands, forests, fungus fields, or mushroom forest. Features +5 food and +5 city stability. Ah. Okay. People pumping too much with this? Is that what this problem was? World map spell Blessing of Paradise changed from sustained spell to upgrade Empire Upgrade. Okay. Now grants +5% income to all cities per stability level above neutral. Well. well. I mean, this is already very good. When it was a sustained spell, but now you don't have to sustain it or cast it. It's just boom. Your Empire gets it when you pick this. Buy that with Enchanted Bloom, and well... Huzzah! It's +20, right? At Harmonious? Per stability level above neutral, so no, it's... 15? Whatever, it's really good. From a spell, the Fortress of Vines, changed from sustained spell to a sustained world spell, gives 10 experience per turn to all friendly units in the domain. The domain? I'm assuming in your domain, all friendly units anywhere in your domain? Enemy units in domain spend an extra 4 movement points per hex move. Oh, get fucked. Oh, that's... Oh. Summons a living vine next to an enemy unit each turn in battle. So... Wow. If the fastest you can move is 3 movement points per hex, and I think standard is 6, that is so much slower. I'm not saying that I'm never going to give this to an AI, but I am saying I will consider the idea. Tome! Oh, this is Paradise. Oh, I have to do it for the leaf transformation. Ugh. Tome of the Goddess of Nature, unit enchantment, the Force of Nature now also applies to spiders! This, of course, is because of the new ultimate spider build, giving you a transformation that is not Driders. For legal reasons, they can't be called Driders. They're called Spider's Embrace, right? We saw Arachna in the dev stream. The Tome of Discipline. They're basically Driders. Tome of Discipline. Combat spell, Mantra Purification increased, removed negative stage effects from 2 to 3, as if it wasn't already insane. Unit enchantment Focus Aim now has a 2-turn cooldown. That's a guaranteed hit. I don't remember what it was before. Was it once per combat? Oh, it might have been. Huh, okay. Unit enchantment Empowered Strikes now applies to magic fighters. Makes sense. And the Monk, Meditate, increase heal temporary hit points from 15 to 25, and Leap, reduce cooldown from 2 turns to 1. Great! This is already a great tome. And now it's even better. The Tome of Prophecies, unit enchantment Fated Projectiles has been renamed to Fateful Imbuement. Now also applies to Skirmisher and Support units. So, oh, Skirmisher and Support. This gives crit chance, doesn't it? It gives crit chance and it makes the units faithful. It was battle mages and stuff. Okay, cool. Foreshadow, the Tome of Cryomancy. The unit enchantment Frost Blades now affects all attacks, no longer does physical damage. Reduce frost damage from +4 to +2, no longer applies to skirmishers. The unit enchantment Frost Arrows now affects all attacks and no longer reduces physical damage. Reduce frost damage from +2 to +1. So this is still Frost Arrows. They didn't add this as a battle mage thing. They talked about thinking about it. Tome of the Doom Herald. Joy Siphoners now has a different tooltip and properties it gives. It works the same, but now gives a non-stacking property named Demoralizer for its morale damage part. This helps us having multiple effects that remove morale without letting it stack. Okay, so it's the same thing. The Tome of Torment. The unit enchantment Tormenting Projectiles now affects all attacks. Great. Tome of the Crimson Rain. The unit Blood Exarch Siphon Lesser has been renamed to Siphon Blood. Damage reduced from 33 to 28. No longer increases damage based on tier of the target unit. Now, I'm assuming, increase physical damage +10 for each second bleeding in the target unit. Okay. This is now more in line with the synergies of the Tome of Crimson Rain. I do think it's weaker, though. It's okay. Blood Pull, increased chance of displacing bleeding targets from 90% to 120%. Bleeding targets. Grant Blood of the Exarch cooldown now resets on any kill done by the Exarch, not just those done by its Siphon Blood ability. Of course, this was nerfed a little bit ago as well. They can't Blood of Exarch each other. Tome of Severing. The unit enchantment Disrupting Blades now affects all attacks and no longer applies to skirmishers. I think the Tome of Severing needs a little bit more love. I rarely ever use this tome. But we'll see. The Crystal Dwelling, the unit enchantment Crystal Focus, now applies to all attacks. Great. Units. The unit type Spider now has immunity to Slowed and Immobilize. The unit Dire Bear increased HP from 120 to 130. The unit Giant Beetle and Death Beetle, Pestilent Escape is now a magic attack. And the unit Butcher Ogre, Butcher's Cut is now a melee attack. Great. The Spider Tang is for the new major transformation. The Bear is just nice. World Map. Vision is no longer provided directly from a radius. Now it will be distance-based. This allows us to block vision on certain cells and provinces without seeing behind it. In addition, Bedrock is now blocking vision. This means the underground has limited sight. Oh. Okay, this is kind of a significant change. Reduce the vision penalty of the following weather effects from -2 to -1. Blinding sandstorms, arctic blizzards, and grasping vines. Reduce the vision penalty from the realm trait heavy fog from -2 to -1. Reduce the vision penalty in provinces with misty from -4 to -2. Reduce a strong and very strong enemy composition so they are closer in difficulty within their strength. Reduce amount of wild speakers in forest nodes and pickups. And increase the starting cost of restored ruin node from 500 to 1,000 mana. Wow. They have a lot of fixes. I usually don't read the fixes because usually it's a lot. Doesn't even be a lot this time though. But add the missing Tidecaster base game song. Oh. I have the music going right now. I wonder which one is Tidecaster. Interesting. Well, here are the fixes. If you want to read them for yourself, of course, you can find a link to the patch notes in the description down below. If I had to guess, this list is going to get longer between now and the full release of the patch on June 16th. Fixture traveling merchants not having bonuses for exalted ranks. Yeah. That's what most of these are going to be. Just things that aren't working, they're now working. Great, congratulations, love that. This restore ruin node is crazy, though. Huh. Literally doubled, and it's quite expensive. I think the changes for this weather effect was because of the burrow downs. They have all of these effects because of the seasonal thingy, and they're adding it to, the seasonal changes being added as a realm modifier. This will make it less annoying, I guess. Heavy fog is the already a realm modifier, so it's less impactful. And misty is the Fey thingy, which is what the burrow downs are for. Or what they are. They're just a bunch of Fey thingies. Alright, well, how do we feel? Like I said, I think there's either something cooking in the background regarding all these changes, or this is just like a mass consolidation. Both are probably equally possible, if I had to guess. Because even though we're just now getting Secrets of the Archmage, you know, in the 16th in about 20 days, they are already thinking about season expansion pass 4. They're already cooking it. It's already being drawn up and prototyped and big things. So it's very possible it's just like a mechanical consolidation. I think that's the most likely part, but maybe there's something cooking. Because I feel like skirmishers are kind of getting robbed. Their physical capacity is being quite dramatically reduced. But hey, we'll see how it all works out, you know, in the end. And I'm not going to go over the whole Empire tree in this video because we'll take a look at it in the Blint Saga, Tharu Kath, which will probably begin this coming weekend. I have a lot to do, so Blint will have to wait his turn as it stands. But thank you all for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the Sprite update. Feel free to let me know what you think of these changes, and if you would like to read them all in the totality, study them carefully, you can, of course, find a link in the description to the patch notes. And the Blint Saga will begin on the Sprite update open beta this coming weekend. Probably the 31st or 1st. We'll see. But thanks for watching. Thank you to patrons and the channel member support channel. I greatly appreciate you. If you'd like to stay up to date with anything happening on the channel, feel free to join the Discord description down below. And I will see you this Thursday to go over the upcoming dev stream. Bye-bye.